Hi everyone, I'm Gee from WWF UK. I'm the acting joint head of campaigns. I'm going to talk to you today about upstream campaigning, striking the right tone for your advocacy targets. Don't miss an Ignite presentation tomorrow from my colleague Lindsay about origami migration, hashtag origami migration, which will talk about digital to physical activations. But now, if you can't directly influence your ultimate advocacy target, what are you going to do? So I'm going to talk about 3 examples from 2 campaigns, one of which is current. The first, a public-facing digital campaign of how I tried to rebrand a campaign to try and reach the ultimate advocacy target. The second is the same campaign, but some behind-the-scenes work we did when I worked for the World Society of Protection of Animals, now known as World Animal Protection. And the third is a live one from my WWF work. So when I was hired into WSPA, my first task was, how do we influence the government of China to end the cruel and unnecessary practice of bear bile farming? Bears are farmed for their bile. We were making some progress in Korea and in Vietnam. In China, we were struggling. Back in 2008, I came to the eCampaigning Forum, as it was called, to try and sharpen some initial ideas I was having about how we might go about doing that. So this is how Whisper was campaigning on the issue. My instinct is that Prince Voltan of Flash Gordon and June Ackland of the Bill probably aren't the people that President Hu is most likely to pay attention to. And I did sort of check and double-check my thoughts. Also in the tone, China, ban bear farms now. White Westerners telling China what to do isn't always the best way to make change happen in Asia, especially China. So what did we do? We got our old friend Jackie Chan involved, wanted to reframe to make it culturally sensitive. We made small edits, so things like where it says China now says Asia, so we can bring in the progress being made in Vietnam and Korea. And we promoted this, and we tried to reach Chinese overseas communities so that our office in China could get some visual representation of Chinese people campaigning without us risking people who live in China campaigning on a sensitive issue. Campaign Film actually did this little video here. We don't have time to show it now, but if you do want to see it, talk to Andy. And what we did was we took people, we built up a mailing list and emails through advertising on Yahoo Hong Kong, Yahoo Taiwan, places where overseas Chinese would go to find news about China that was credible. And then we asked them to take visual campaigning actions. And so here's the website where you see them doing that. So second example, behind the scenes stuff. If you want to make change happen in China, how do you make it happen? You want to do it in a way that's face-saving to the decision makers. We knew we couldn't win with the Forestry Administration who were making money from bear bile farming. So we did some analysis and thought, well, what if we can get the Ministry of Trade and Investment to be saying, this tiny little industry over here is causing us no end of grief. So how could we get the Ministry of Trade and Investment to be saying that? Well, Western multinationals were buying up, pharmaceutical supermarket were buying up companies in China, and they were selling things. So here you've got some eye drops that involve bear bile, but they were selling on their shop shelves. They were distributing through their distribution chains. So we went to them and said to them, you don't know you're selling this product. It's perfectly legal to sell in China. It would be illegal to sell it internationally under the Convention on Trade of Endangered Species. You don't know you're doing this. We met with them, we showed them some polling evidence of what their customers in Melbourne or London or New York would think of their involvement in this, and we encouraged them to go to their business partners and talk to them about why they thought this was a business risk that they did not want to be involved in, and as a result, we got some of the largest supermarket and pharmaceutical chains in the world to be saying we will not have bear bile products in our supply chain, we will not have them on our shop shelves. And that then meant their Chinese partners were mostly state-owned companies, so the people who run those companies have direct links into the government. So we managed to find a way to make change happen. We managed to do it where we were entirely behind the scenes. We weren't going face-to-face, head-to-head with the government of China, and we were able to get a shift in what was happening. So then, that's my second example. My third example, Virunga National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is a WWF example. Africa's oldest national park, home to the endangered mountain gorilla. A British oil company, SOCO, wanted to explore for oil there. UNESCO say World Heritage Sites are incompatible with oil mining and gas. So we had the challenge that no one had ever heard of the place when we started this work. Some of you may have seen the Netflix film Virunga as well. We did our own film with Anna Friel to try and raise the profile of the place. We did traditional petition campaigning. But we also went to the oil company. The oil company wouldn't talk to us, so we went to their investors. And Upstream went to their investors and talked to their investors about the business risk. And we launched a complaint through the OECD guidelines for multinational enterprises, which is hard to say in 7 minutes. But what happened from that, the oil company decided not only to pull out of Virunga National Park, but also to make a commitment not to go into any other World Heritage Sites around the world or their buffer zones. And we also got some evidence of materiality, the fact that it cost them money to pull out. So we're then able to loop back to the investors and go, here's an example of companies not doing very sensible things. From that, we managed to then move into the campaign we've got live at the moment, Saving Our Shared Heritage, where we, again, worked with a couple of the investors who had been investing in this oil company. Again, when we went to them, we said, we want you to engage with the company. It wasn't a case of saying, we want you to pull out immediately. We wanted them to have chats. And then they agreed to do a report with us highlighting that a third of the world's World Heritage Sites are overlapped with oil, gas and mining concessions. On the right are the companies who have already made no-go pledges for World Heritage. So 2/3 of the mining industry, 2% of the oil industry. So we're working on that through the campaign of how can we continue to make that change happen. So in terms of what I think works upstream, with Whisper, when we were doing the bear bar work and thinking about China, we had a very expensive but very effective trade negotiator who used to work in the Clinton administration, and she helped us think about how we get different parts of the government to play off each other. And when we did the report with investors, we paid for very expensive copy editing just to get the tone exactly right for investors. What can you do to help with our current live campaign? The Belize Barrier Reef is one of the flagships we've got in our current campaign. Half of Belize's population depend on the reef's health, so we're trying to motivate the Prime Minister of Belize to make the changes he needs to make to protect the Belize Barrier Reef. So wwf.org.uk/Belize. Thank you very much. Good night.